One of the single biggest problems I or any of us who are fighting Common Core encounter on a daily basis is how ultimately depressing it all is. Most moms and dads were going about their daily lives, educating their kids, taking them to soccer practice and ballet, not paying much attention. In fact, that's our problem, isn't it? That for a long time now in this country, we have turned our kids over to the federal government, to government schools. We had to have known, we certainly had to have known that sooner or later, the government was going to spend more and more of its time promoting its aims, its ambitions, its view of the world, its view of the country over yours, your families. So we're in a situation now with Common Core where the news is very depressing, for lack of a better word. But there is hope. We've got to get moms and dads aware, and that's where the depression comes in. Point out to them. For a lot of moms and dads, this is shocking that the federal government, the Department of Education, teachers' unions, do not have your kids' best interests at heart. They have their own interests at heart. It's predictable and it's sad. But having said all that, and having watched our videos, and having watched this video, I think there is cause for hope. And that hope comes from the fact that more and more moms and dads are now aware of the problem. In my lifetime, I have never seen an issue that has galvanized more parents than Common Core. Parents who have been asleep in a slumber are now suddenly paying attention to what's coming home and what's not coming home from their kids' public government schools. The answer, I think, the only real answer, short-term and long-term, is for American moms and dads to realize that there is no higher calling, no higher responsibility placed on them as parents than the education of their children. You think about it, from the moment your babies are born, even in the womb, you're talking to that baby, you're talking to mommy's baby, you're speaking language to it. Lots of moms and dads play music to the child in utero to try to help to develop sensitivity, imagination, motor skills. As parents, we are constantly educating kids, even before they're born. There is no more intimate thing than education between a mom and a dad and a child. The idea that these kids are going to learn what the world is, they're going to see things first through your eyes. Until we as Americans recognize that this is not something we can farm off to government. This is not something we can farm off to professional educators who go through these big state schools of education for 4 years, where they're learning not how to sensitively and imaginatively teach your children, but abstract theory and indoctrination, political correctness, social justice theory, absolute nonsense. Until we as mom and dads take back our kids, commit ourselves to educating them first, we're not going to fix this problem. But that's happening now. So for me, and to all the activists that I've talked to, we've really reached the point now where homeschooling your kids, finding a way to take ownership of your child's education, doesn't necessarily mean you're teaching them 8 hours a day. You're giving them 8 hours of information every day like they would get in the public school system. What it means is you're overseeing your kids' education. For a lot of you, that is going to mean homeschooling. It's why we created FreedomProject Education. We realize that there are a lot of moms and dads who aren't comfortable going from the public schools right to educating their kids at home. So we consider ourselves, among other things, a buffer. We're a place where you can get the feel of homeschool, all with your participation and consent and support. Right? We work with parents to provide an education that you want them to have. We need more of that too. So if you can't consider immediately homeschooling your kids, consider organizations like FPE, all sorts of groups like us who are trying to draw a middle way, right? To make that transition out of the, let's call it what it is, it's an addiction. For many of our American moms and dads, public schools are babysitters. They're glorified daycare. You drop your kids off at 8 in the morning. You don't have to pick them up till 3 or 4 in the afternoon. Everything is done, right? The schools are even feeding them now. And many schools are now feeding kids breakfast, lunch, and dinner. If that's the model that you like, if you see the public schools as free babysitting, free daycare, we're not going to change your minds. We're also not going to fix your kids. We're also not going to change this country back into the country that it was and the country that it could be again. Until we realize that in the same way it is your responsibility, mom and dad, to feed your kids, it's also your responsibility to teach and educate them, we're not going to fix this problem. And the way you do it is take ownership. We can help. FPE, come visit us at fpeusa.org for information on how to go about the process. Even if you can't pull your kids out of public schools right now, find a way as parents to give them information to balance out what they're learning in the public schools. Find a program, maybe it's our online U.S. history and American civics courses, our American studies courses, that give them an alternative view of history from the one they get in the public schools? Do you want your kids to believe that America is the source of all the world's problems, that all the evils and sins of the world are ultimately capitalistic sins, American sins? If that's what you want to believe, let them only study history in the American public school system. But there's another narrative of history. The good that America has done, the benefits that America has brought for so many people, the number of people the American way has pulled out of poverty and misery and despair. Those stories aren't being told anymore in the schools. Even if you keep your kid in those public schools, consider finding alternative ways to get them that information. Freedom Project is one of the very best alternative ways to do that. We're here for you. We appreciate your support. We know that this is depressing material. We know that where our schools have gone is someplace we wouldn't have imagined they could have gone even 10 years ago. Get them out. Get them out now. Let us help you. There's all sorts of organizations who can help you. Freedom Project was designed to help you reinvent how schooling's done. Take it back. Leave you with this thought. As many others besides me have pointed out, America really did become a superpower on the backs of men and women who learned in one-room schoolhouses. Individual learning, individual education, very community-based, driven by local communities and families. It can be that way again. There are over 3 million homeschool families in this country right now. And I have never, in my experience with homeschooling for years and years and years, I have never met a single homeschool mom and dad who regretted doing it. The answer I always get from homeschool moms and dads is, how come we didn't do it sooner? Once you realize that your kids are going to see the world better, they're going to have a better experience, they're going to have huge bonding moments with you if you take responsibility for their education and not farm them out to government-educated schoolers. You're going to realize that the intimacy, the bond, the connection is powerful. I urge you to consider it, and if you have any questions, we're always here for you.